Here's part 3. There's some really tough problems in here, so be patient and give it your best shot. Here's a really messy one for you. 4 plus 2/3 x equals 5/6. So let's do this without canceling out all the fractions. We could cancel out all the fractions by multiplying everything by 6. And maybe I'll show you that in a second, but let's just do it as if we're just going to do the numbers. I want to subtract 4 from both sides. So when we get to this 5/6 minus 4, it is totally okay to tap this in your calculator. 5/6 minus 4 is negative 19/6. That's awkward, but the calculator's handling it, right? And then I want to multiply by 3/2, which is actually the same thing as dividing by 2/3. So it just depends on how we're thinking about it. And again, you can put these things in your calculator. Be careful and play with it a little bit, because it matters how you enter these numbers and whether or not you use parentheses, things like that. So you want to do some testing so that you can make sure that you're entering that right. When I do this math, it's going to be a little awkward, but look what happens. In fact, I'll just do a little bit by hand here so that you can see that it's going to be whoa, come back here. Negative 19/4. And that is just fine as an answer. And notice that even the Alex directions say do not use decimals in your answer. That's because they want that. Okay? When you've done the math and it's a weird fraction, just leave it there. All right, here's another one. X 2 minus 2 equals x over 3. Look at that. We have multiple x's. We could multiply this all by 6 and get rid of these fractions. That would be really convenient. If I am dealing with the fractions, then it's going to look like this. Not really sure that it's going to do me any good to not multiply through. Let's just be brave. I think we're still going to need that common denominator, so we can probably still keep doing this though. Let's say we still refuse to do this. I'm multiplying by 2. We get x equals. Now, I have to multiply 2 times everything, so I have 2x over 3 plus 4. And this is getting ridiculous. So see how this is a messy way to do this. So let's back up. Let me show you a much cleaner way to do this. If we have to deal with denominators, we have to deal with denominators. And we shouldn't be afraid of fractions. So let's change color because it makes me feel better. And let's multiply everything by 6. Why did I pick 6? Because it's a common denominator for 2 and 3. When I multiply, notice that I'm multiplying the left side of the equal sign. Everything gets multiplied by 6, and on the right, everything gets multiplied by 6. So I'm going to put these little pieces out to the side so you can see it. Lots of people find this really intimidating. When I multiply fractions, I can cancel things top to bottom, even on the diagonal. So 6 and 2 both have a common 2. And so this would be 3 times x, or 3x. Okay, and then I have 6 times negative 2, and that equals negative 12. And then I'm doing this x over 3 times 6 over 1, and a very similar thing is happening here. There's 1 3 and 2 3s, right? So I just really have 2 times x. All right, the problem was we need to get our x's together. We can't solve for them both being in separate places. And so you might be inclined to say minus the 2x, but then you're going to have 0 on the right. So let's minus the 3x over here. It doesn't hurt anything if you have 0 on the right. You're just going to have to add the 12 and it'll all be fine. But so that canceled. So I have negative 12, don't lose this minus, equals negative x. Remember that that's the same thing as negative 1x. And so if I divide by negative 1, I'm going to end up with negative divided by negative over here, and I get 12 equals x, or x equals 12. That's a messy one, probably worth plugging back in to see what we get. Let's just put it over here. 12 over 2 is 6 minus 2 equals 12 over 3 is 4. 6 minus 2 is 4 equals 4. So it checks. All right, here's another fraction one, because I know you love them so much. Please be brave with these. A common denominator for 5 and 3 and 2 is something where you multiply them together. Sometimes it's smaller than if you multiply them together, but in this case they're prime numbers, so it's not going to be. 5 times 3 is 15, and 15 times 2 is 30. And so a common denominator is 30. I'm going to multiply everything in here by 30. So remember that I have to do times 30 here, times 30 here, and times 30 here. Lots of times when I'm writing that, it looks more like this. But it means the same thing. It means that I have to multiply every single piece by 30. So let me again show you this, because lots of times we're just not real happy with the fractions. Okay, when I multiply 30 times negative 1/5, put it in your calculator. Do it like this though. Go 30 and then hit the little times and then put parentheses around this negative 1. You either have a fraction button that you can hit at that point, or just hit divided by. That will enter it in your calculator, but the calculator is going to tell you this, negative 6. So I have negative 6 plus, and then the next little piece that you're doing is 30 times 4/3. Don't worry about the y, you're just going to put it on there, right? 30 and 3 cancels out, and you get 10 times 4 is 40. Do it in your calculator if you want to. Okay, and then when I do this, up here 30 times negative 3 over 2, then I have 15 times negative 3 is negative 45. All right, again, do it in your calculator. Just if you have a fraction, be safe and put it in parentheses, and then that usually works out with the order of operations. Let's do this. 40y equals negative 39. That kind of seems ugly, but the last one was ugly, so we're going to let this one be ugly. Watch this. It says simplify your answer as much as possible, and notice that it's giving you a little fraction option, so it's likely that your answer is a fraction. When I divide by 40 over here and divide by 40 over here, this looks crazy, but it's actually, the answer is right there. Don't get freaked out and think you have to change it to be something else. You have already gotten the answer right there. It's fine, just the way it is. Right, that's the last problem. You're gonna have some problems in Alex to work on, and if you need some help, want a little more explanation, just send them to me and I'll send you back some extra explanation.